Well, Joy Reid was discussing the Stewart Rhodes sentencing on Thursday. I thought we'd have a little look at it together. This is Friday Peace Talks. Let's talk about this piece. Watch it and you tell me. Do you see a bias here? Do you see a bias that leads to untruth? Do you see problems with this piece, or do you think it's good? Let me know. We're both going to talk. We're gonna talk about it on the other side.
That is the sentence a federal judge handed down to Elmer Stewart Rhodes, founder of the right-wing extremist group, the Oathkeepers. Rhodes was convicted of seditious conspiracy related to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. It is the longest sentence so far handed down to any of the January 6th insurrectionists. In delivering the sentence, Judge Amit Mehta said Rhodes presents an ongoing threat and a peril to this country and to the republic and to the very fabric of this democracy. Yet the judge chose to give Rhodes less than the 25 years that prosecutors were seeking, which was well within the federal guidelines. It wasn't as if Rhodes was showing any remorse in court today. The judge even said so. Appearing in an orange jumpsuit, Rhodes called himself a political prisoner and said the only crime he committed was opposing those who are, quote, destroying our democracy. Also notable during his sentencing, Rhodes took the time to endorse the man who brought him to the Capitol that day, wishing for Donald Trump to win the 2024 presidential election. Perhaps it has something to do with Trump.
So just to be clear, the guy has been absolutely level with everyone that he has not learned anything, that he has no remorse, that given the opportunity, he would do it again. That's what we're dealing with. Really, we're not going to get true justice in this country until we demand it.
Trump's promise to pardon many of his January 6th foot soldiers.
Christ.
Rhodes is one of 10 defendants from the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys convicted of seditious conspiracy. His fellow Oath Keeper Kelly Meggs was also sentenced today to 12 years behind bars. I'm joined now by Frank Figliuzzi, former assistant director for counterintelligence at the FBI and an MSNBC national security analyst. Great to see you, Frank. I want to play what Stewart Rhodes' defense team said after this whole sentencing was over. Here they are.
Based on Judge Mehta's belief of what the facts show and his recitation of that yesterday and today, I believe that was lower than what I thought Mehta would do.
It was lower than you thought?
Today.
Yeah.
After today, I thought it would be higher.
I anticipated much higher than an 18-year sentence. Not that I agree with the sentence, but I anticipated much more based on the way that he was leading up to it.
Correct.
Frank, I agree with them. Just reading through what the judge was saying, the way he blasted Elmer Rhodes, I was surprised that it was only 18 years. Were you?
Joy, I'm with you on this. Look, it's a stiff sentence, but I compare it to other federal crimes. You rob a couple of banks, you're looking at 15 to 20 years in prison. You commit and are convicted of what I believe to be the second most severe charge the federal government can throw at you, seditious conspiracy. The only thing worse would be treason, betraying the country while at war, and you get 18 years. You try to rob the country of its democracy, not money in a bank. You try to rob it of the peaceful transition of power. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Even Rhodes's lawyers thought that the judge's understanding of the facts should result in a harsher punishment. Again, they were saying what they disagree with was the judge's understanding of the facts. That's bias. That is the bias people are talking about. When people, if it ever feels to you like white privilege is this sort of nebulous thing that you can never really find a direct example of, it's just something you kind of know when you see it. No, it's this. Really, it's conservative privilege, and really, it's the privilege of people that serve the rich. Ultimately, it is the privilege granted to the oligarchs and their servants in the United States of America. Yes, there's truly white privilege that you get just for being a white person. Okay, yeah. But if you want to talk about what it looks like functionally. This is it right now. In other words, the judge agreed largely with the prosecution's facts, and then they used their judgment to say, but we shouldn't go that hard on him. And you know what? If all judges did that in all cases, I'd be fine with it. In fact, I am down for changing the laws so that they require less jail time. But if we have the laws that we have, then guess what? We need, within those laws, to define for the American people how bad the American government feels this was a violation of those laws. And if the max sentence is 25 years, boy howdy, brother should have got 25 years.
I think it's stiff, but it's still too light. And nevertheless, there is some good news coming out of this, Joy, in the sense that we're already seeing a chilling effect from this prosecution of Oathkeeper's leadership. Folks in law enforcement who signed up years ago for something called Oathkeepers, they didn't know what they were signing up for. Many of them now saying, hey, time out. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up for seditious conspiracy. So there's that. There's also a blow with this sentence to the militia movement. Not the hardcore, die-hard domestic terror guys who are all in on chaos and anarchy. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the folks out there who are going, yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'm not showing up for the violence, you know?
Yeah.
So
Before Joy goes off here, I don't want to seem, I really, really want to be clear. I don't want to be accused of being a hypocrite later. I don't want to seem like I'm all for locking people away for decades and decades. I think that's a bad way to run a country. But the reality is that is the way we run our country. And in that context, we need to demonstrate for the American people that it's the deterrence effect that I'm concerned about. We need to tell them how bad this was. And what we just said was this was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Now, something else we got to get into. A bunch of cops just found out they were in a terrorist organization. And some of them, but not all, Jesus Christ, some of them are saying, I no longer want to be in this terrorist organization. We need to make it a law that if you're going to be the muscle of the government in the United States, if you're going to carry a gun in my name, in your name, you can't also be a terrorist. The Oathkeepers is a terrorist organization, so we need to make it crystal clear that any cop that chooses to remain an Oathkeeper has got to go and be banned from being a police officer forever. Banned from the military forever. Because we cannot allow them to carry firearms in our name. We can't legitimize a terrorist organization in any way, shape, or form. In addition, we should probably have a little talk with those folks that joined this terrorist organization and are now leaving it about what the appeal was. Because my concern is that those things that appealed to them haven't gone away. They just don't like the look now that it's exposed to the light of day. And they're going to try to find another shadowy organization to join to harass Americans, to betray the country.
Maybe I'm not showing up for the violence, you know?
Yeah.
So
and I'm guessing and also, if people really believe that Donald Trump gives a damn about any of these people and is going to pardon them, I got a bridge to sell them, the Brooklyn Bridge, and you can have it for a mere, $5.95. Like, he doesn't care about these people.
Hold up. He absolutely will pardon them. Sorry, Joy, but he will pardon them. It's a political he will gain praise for pardoning them. She's right that he doesn't care about them, but he can use them. And if he uses their pardons as a re-election talking point, And if he can fulfill that request as soon as he gets into office, he'll do that. And by the way, then he'll have a bunch of people that are muscle for him. Those will be the brown shirts. We need to be crystal clear about how serious this is. He will pardon them, and he will give them authority within the U.S. government. He will allow militias to become a regular thing that is legally allowed to harass us. We're going to have to scrap if Donald Trump gets elected again. We're going to have to. Because he will absolutely turn the militias loose on us. Don't let that happen, and don't downplay the threat of that.
I'm thinking if you are, and let's just go through, the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys have been convicted of seditious conspiracy. It's now a large group of people. If I'm, let's say, Enrique Tarrio, who, like Stewart Rhodes, Elmer Rhodes, was not physically at the Capitol, and he sees him get 18 years. This guy's 58 years old. He won't be out till he's in his 70s. Not long enough, but pretty long. I'm thinking they've got to be worried, right, when they get sentenced.
Yeah. Look, I mean, who else do we know who's very high profile and wasn't inside the Capitol, as neither Enrique Tarrio or Stewart Rhodes were, but helped instigate, incite, coordinate, plan violence that day. Yeah. So that's people like Donald Trump, Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, who all must look at this. But you know who else is looking at this as kind of a beta test? I think Special Counsel Jack Smith is looking at this going, wow, we've had now two major cases, Proud Boys cases, Oath Keepers cases, very serious cases. D.C. juries aren't buying their stories. And he may be emboldened to really, really levy the most serious charges against Trump and his cohorts.
Do you think that this kind of a sentence, because it is stiff, we don't want to make it sound like we don't think that it is a rough sentence. It's 18 years is a long time. Do you think that this might help unlock some of the answers to the questions we haven't got answered? Who put those pipe bombs down? Like, do people start talking, just in your experience as an FBI official, does it loosen up people's remembrance and memories of the truth when they see people going away for this amount of time?
Such a good question. I got to praise it. I'm sorry, y'all. That is such a good question. I've been wondering, who put those pipe bombs down? Guess what? They put them by where the Democrats meet. That was an attempted assassination. It's shocking to me. It's shocking to me that has not been dealt with yet. I have not heard an update on that. Haven't heard a peep. We really should get to the bottom of that. And by the way, I bet the reason we haven't is because they got an inkling of who was involved, and they didn't want to have to deal with the political fallout of the truth. That's a major, major problem with Democrats in general, and or with Democrats specifically, and the U.S. government in general. It is not that we will directly always give a pass. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we'll do a pardon for villains. But it's not like we always directly just say, no, it was a Republican that did it, so we're not going to prosecute. No, what we do is as soon as we find out that a Republican was likely involved, we just stop investigating. We can't go on like this. What happened with the Supreme Court leaks? It started to look like Alito was the one who leaked, and the investigation stopped. What happened with the pipe bombs? Well, gosh. Maybe we're going to find out that Marjorie Taylor Greene knew something about that. Maybe Lauren Boebert, in between domestic disturbance calls with her husband, knew something about that. But we stopped investigating because we're not interested in justice with the U.S. Department of Justice. We're just interested in keeping the population calm, passive, pliant, weak.
To maybe turn state's evidence.
Oh yeah, this could be come to Jesus time for a lot of folks who are thinking, I'm not doing a plea deal, I'm not cooperating. Now they look at 18 years for Rhodes and they go, maybe I will cooperate and start talking. So I think you're going to see some cooperation deals. You'll start seeing some plea deals for some of these folks, and they'll be quietly cooperating. That's the hope here anyway.
You'll find out who has the highest IQ among these people who are all, on the loser end of the spectrum when one of them starts talking. That's the smart one. Frank.
Look, I know Joy Reid has not historically been a great TV personality. In 2020, I was not a fan of Joy Reid. In fact, I outright disliked her. Joy Reid of 2023 is effing awesome. She's killing it. True. I don't think she gives a fair shake to progressives. I think she has a knee-jerk reaction that most people who live in fancy houses and drive fancy cars do. Or most people that live well have when they hear progressive politics. They hear about helping others and they go, ooh. But when she's dealing with conservative terrorism, right on. Right on, my friend. Yeah. More of what we were talking about before. I agree with all that. And I think of course, more and more I've been saying this, cable news is singing the right song. Cable news is presenting arguments to an audience that is used to being passive, that is used to just the normal way of things going, being letting Republicans, conservatives, get away with whatever they want just because they're Republicans. They're our betters in the eyes of American culture. Nonsense. They are the Republican Party. And now I'm not talking about conservatives. I'm talking about the literal party. They are a criminal organization. And we are about to officially deal with that. And we should be asking the kind of questions that any other sane country would ask, such as, who tried to assassinate the Democrats? Probably a good thing to figure out, huh? Delighted that Joy Reid is pushing for it on MSNBC. Delighted that your peers or Americans that generally watch the news but don't pay very close attention to it are finally seeing messages like this. It's fantastic. Let's see what you all have to say.